I'm Sunil. I lead logistics and supply chain vertical for Grammon, which is part of Straive company now. I carry about 18 years of experience into logistics and supply chain, doing this in and around with a lot of clients across US, Europe, India, and in APAC. So the specialty that I bring to the table is the digital transformation management consulting, now moving completely into analytics, because I strongly believe that analytics is very much critical to a lot of things happening in the market, and it is where a lot of value is still there to unlock. Yeah, analytics and per se generative AI, I would say, has been really transformative for manufacturing industry, and I have been very optimistic about it. I can tell you why. Because historically, as I have seen for 18 years into the industry, typically manufacturing, logistics, and supply chain, they are not able to leverage a lot of their data. So they are heavily relying on Lean Six Sigma and those concepts at that point of time, right? But what had happened with generative AI coming into the foray, people have shifted their focus on data and they have applied GenAI specifically for very limited use cases, for example, customer service or generating automotive insights. And it has also to do with the fact that these are certain functions which GenAI is very good and they're able to do it pretty well. But what they're not able to do pretty well is the computation part. So where my optimism lie is going forward, Gen AI is definitely going to become more complicated. They are able to become more strong in doing the computation, complex computation. They will be able to do the scenario planning as well. So there are a lot of use cases where I see a value can be unlocked using these use cases, and what we are doing or using Gen AI, at least manufacturing is just scratching the surface. And in 10 years, all those use cases are going to get unfolded, and the value that we could not derive so far would be able to do so. Yeah. Coming to the challenges, there are a lot of challenges in the manufacturing industry, right? Let me talk about the data problem itself, right? Data in terms of the availability and gathering data itself is a problem. So what is supposed to be your first step, you are not able to get that right? Now comes the second part. Like once you get the data, you need to really integrate the data across the systems, because that is very important. You need system to talk to each other. That is one another important aspect. And third and the last part is, once you have done all of these things, you are supposed to do the scenario planning. When first two pillars are not there, definitely you are not able to do the third thing. But for supply chain, running simulation and scenario is very critical, and we are not able to do these three things. So three challenges that I talked about. I would like to elaborate them by giving specific examples. Let us take the value chain of the supply chain, right? So I'm at the very first step. I'm doing the forecasting piece for itself. I'm a manufacturing company that is into automotive spare part manufacturing. So what is important for me is, whenever I'm doing the demand forecasting, I should know how much is the automobile manufacturer is manufacturing, how much would he need to manufacture the vehicle, and how much aftermarket sales would come. This will become very complicated when I apply economic factors, other scenario, or other disturbances I have in external world. So I have to take into account all of those things, which I'm not able to do currently. So GenAI can really help me do so. Now, when I move forward, let me talk about the manufacturing itself. A good example would be, say, I'm a bread manufacturing company, okay, and I'm packaging my breads every day. And my packaging machine is going down at any random period, and I have no control over it. So I can definitely deploy IoT services, etc., and I can control my OE, I can monitor my OE, I can do a well-knit job on that one. But what is really important is if I can apply GenAI and get the automated insights. So every day when I or my team member is really logging into the system, they will get to know these are the 3 or 5 parameters, or these are the 5 priorities for me, and I can get them right. In the similar beat, let us take about the quality function for that matter. So I'm a computer vision, right? So it is a company, so I'm into a packaging business. So I'm doing a lot of packaging day in and day out. But then a lot of defects are happening on top of it. It could be tear, wear, etc. It could be abrasion and all of that. And I'm doing this inspection manually, but it is not a sustainable thing. So what I need to do is I need some sort of algorithm or analytics that can really run over it, and it can give me a world-class solution. But problem is that I don't have enough data. To run any analytics model in computer vision, I need hundreds of images, but I cannot give you more than 50. So I can generate images using GenAI. So it is like generative AI can generate images, and it can make my lives little simpler, right? And the last part of any supply chain is, of course, the logistics as well. The materials been distributed, they have been transported. A good example would be FMCG company. So I'm a FMCG company, and what is most important thing for me is to avoid stock out. I have to manage inventory. I have to make sure that a lot of my items have been like invoices are right for them, and no material is really got stuck in transportation and all of that. So the point that I'm driving home here is that I have to look at a lot of parameters that are just not internal but external, and how to manage the interplay among these parameters using again a world-class simulation, which I've not been able to so far. But I believe GenAI, I'm very optimistic about it. By using GenAI, I can do these complicated scenarios going forward as well. So GenAI is really going to be transformative, and these are the challenges that we can handle. So revenue is definitely going to be the topmost part, avenue. But just looking at revenue will not be the very prudent way of really looking at all the benefits that we are getting to go from GenAI. So some of the important things that I see has my clients have started asking, or at least started seeing value into, is, for example, say hygiene and sanitation. If I'm manufacturing a product which has got a food element to it, right? For example, bread example that I talked about, or noodles for that matter. So these are the products that consumers are going to consume. So which like hygiene and sanitation is most important thing for me, and I should really have good control of it, right? So that is one example. Second example could be like safety and security itself, right? Because I don't want that a lot of my workforce are getting injured, or there are a lot of accidents or incidents within the industry itself. The GenAI can really help. Another avenue could be the waste reduction itself. Any product that I'm manufacturing today, there are going to be a lot of waste if the products are not been manufactured as per the specification. I cannot allow that to happen. I can deploy analytics and I can reduce the waste. It will not just have a revenue impact, but it will have a great environmental value as well, because I need not be discarding products into the environment, polluting the environment, so on and so forth. Another good example could be the returns management, or recalls as we call it, right, today. So a lot of products that are been shipped back are actually being discarded because they don't meet the specification, creating a lot of environmental pollution. We can avoid all of that. So revenue is just one aspect, but I believe there are 10 other things which may have sustainability impact, and GenAI and analytics can really impact them.
That's
One part is definitely the revenue. Then second part are the factors related to sustainability. Then third part is also about the customer and value that we generate for customers. So customer is not only the end customer, but it could be our employee itself. So definitely we can impact customer service and also customer experience using GenAI. So all we need to do is to gather a lot of data related to it. Earlier we used to do sentiment analysis, but it was not that nuanced. But now we have pre-trained models that have been developed or trained on the billions of data points. So we can consume them, we can add our more data to it, and it can give you the answers to improve the customer experience. For example, it could be a chatbot to improve customer experience, or it could be some kind of audit you are doing to improve the preference or the priority for the customer to be served them better, or you can look at the areas that customer would want you to improve the product. There are a lot of things, very difficult to identify one, but let me try to take a stab from the recent example that I have worked on. So recently we got stumbled into one of the projects where we have to identify defects on the packages. And the problem was that the client is trying to give us a lot of images, but they were not able to give us images more than 50 or 60. And to train the model, we need images, 200, 300 for each defect, which is not an easy thing for the customer to do. And also customer is not trained to capture those images, right? So where I found generative AI really added the value, basis those little images that customer had, right? We applied GenAI and we generated more images. This particular part is called augmentation, in certain cases masking as well. But we have generated a lot of images, then we fed it into the model and we fine-tuned the model, which is where the difference has been created. So I would say, like, a lot of places we are hearing about text being generated, which is fine, but what I really found interesting is you can generate images using the existing images and then feeding it back to the analytics model. That was really transformative, as I would say. Yeah, so that would be my back. Yeah. Okay, again, there are a lot of models into the market, and I have tried all of them, but particularly one model that I felt really at this point of time it is doing. So I cannot just answer this question for all the models and going forward, but one particular model that we have, I would want to talk about is Cloud 3. Reason being, like, if I look at from a client's view, what they would want, right? First thing is, of course, the cost part. Why cost part? Because they just don't want to use it once. They want to use it daily, multiple times. So they want to scale it up. So cost part and scaling up is very important, and this was the one of the most biggest inhibitor for them to going or coming towards this side, right? So that part has been taken away. I believe Cloud 3 is about 40 times cheaper, is what I know. So that is one aspect. Second aspect is the conversational query. So the model that I'm recommending to my client, it should be so easy to use as if I'm conversing with you. So that capability I found in Cloud 3 a little better than other models. So that is another thing. Third thing is the integration itself, right? Because I will not use the model standalone. I would want to integrate it with other system workflow. That is another advantage. And fourth thing, which typically is on the top of client's head whenever I have placed LLM, is about the data security. So I found Cloud 3 like data security is intact. We have deployed it for a lot of our customers now, and we are pretty sure like it works like a charm. So that would be my bet at this point of time. Yeah, thank you very much for having me here. Bye bye.